Wendy, honey. All right. Did y'all see the Wendy Williams documentary? The one that's on Lifetime. Baby. Let me tell you all about it. Y'all, get in here. All right. I'm going to tell you this right fast, and I got to go because I'm about to jog. People have called it exploitive. They have said that it literally is trash. I've heard people say that it's a cry for help from her family. I've heard everything about it, but I'm going to tell you this is my perspective on it, okay? I don't see it as fully exploitive, although I do think it's deeply revealing. What I think it is a sign to all of y'all who are sitting in dysfunctional relationships, who are being cheated on, who are being lied to, who are in relationships and in love with narcissists. It is a sign to you to leave that spouse right now. I'm not calling her ex-husband a narcissist. I don't know that man from a can of paint. But what I am saying is that clearly, that one thing that was clearly put into this documentary. Let me explain a little bit more, okay? If you haven't watched this on Lifetime, all right, I won't give you any spoilers, but I mean, there's not really a whole lot of spoilers for life that's already out there, okay? And thank y'all for sharing this video. When you share this video, call it out so I can let y'all know. Thank you so much, Anastasia in Australia, who shared this video. My goodness, thank you so much. And if y'all ain't get my book, Get Out of Your Own Way, A Guide to Letting Go of the Stuff That's Holding You Back, go on ahead and get it. It's linked that's directly above or below this video. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all that kind of stuff. And one of the quickest things you need to get rid of that's holding you back is a man who is doing you dirty. A man who's getting other women pregnant while they clearly with you. So here's the thing, okay? Wendy has admitted to having drug issues and everything like that in the past, all right? And then move forward in her life, right? I don't know if she ever got sober fully or whatever it was, but what her son was saying and what other people in the documentary were saying, because this ain't just people off the street. Thank you so much, Kareem Swayso, for sharing this video. And when y'all share it, let me know y'all share it so I can call it out. But other people in the video were saying, and these were her family members, were saying that basically she would come home from doing the show. Jay Jackson, thank you for sharing, as well as Sherry Ellis. She would come home from doing her show, basically go up into her room with her drink and her vape, and she'd be up there all night while her ex-husband was allegedly out here in these streets cheating on her. Now, we heard about him cheating on her. We heard about him getting another woman pregnant. We heard about him buying the woman a car and everything like that. They parading around in the same town that Wendy lived in. That's what they said. Thank you so much, Kanisha Johnson, for sharing this video, and Mercedes Santiago for sharing this video. When y'all share, call it out. And the whole thing, I'm watching Wendy at this point in her life, well, at least when the documentary was shot, and I'm watching someone, I'm like, this is a picture of what alcoholism can escalate to. This is a picture of a broken woman, but above all, this is a picture of someone who self-medicated their pain while in a damaging, horrible relationship, and now what they're living in is the health consequences of self-medicating. You cannot stay in hell and not walk out of it burned. Okay? If you choose to stay in a damaging, horrible relationship, it don't matter if the person's cheating on you or not. It don't matter if the person is perhaps just emotionally destructive towards you or whatever it may be. If you stay in a relationship that is not good for you, guess what you're doing? You are setting the stage for you to be damaged. That's why I tell you all, it is better to leave an unhealthy relationship and face the pain of leaving than to stay in an unhealthy relationship thinking that you're avoiding pain, because all you're doing is you're trading in the pain of leaving for the pain of the destruction that will follow when this relationship inevitably ends. When you stay with someone who doesn't respect you, thank you so much, Monique Walls, for my stars. When you stay with someone who doesn't respect you, and it is evidenced by how they treat you, it is clear that what will happen to you is eventually you will start to respect yourself at the same level that that person respects you. Let me say that again. When you stay in relationships with people who do not respect you, eventually you will start to respect yourself at the same level that that person respects you. And because they don't respect you at all, that's where your self-respect is going to go to, in the basement. And when you don't have any self-respect for yourself, what follows? What we know is self-medicating in really dangerous ways. What we know is alcoholism. What we know is depression. What we know is overworking. All these things can come with it. I'm not sitting up here trying to shame this woman, and a lot of people are here saying, oh, well, that's what she deserves. You see what she did to other people's lives. I'm not going there either. What I'm talking about is that she is a real-life picture. I'm almost kind of happy that the documentary came out, not to expose her life in any way, shape, or form, but because some of you all don't believe that fat meat is greasy. Some of y'all don't believe that you literally are destroying yourself by staying with that man. I can guarantee you this. While Wendy was making millions of dollars, sitting at the top of the world, having all y'all saying, how you doing, and all that kind of stuff, I can guarantee that that point in time, if she knew then what she knew now, if she knew how destructive being in that relationship was going to be for her life, she would have left a long time ago. She thought she was doing the right thing. She probably thought that she was sticking in it long enough and maybe he changed his mind. She probably thought that maybe she was sticking in it for the betterment of her family, her kids. Maybe she thought that she was avoiding pain. Maybe she just didn't have the self-esteem to believe that she could leave him and be all right on her own. But what we later found out is that that was all untrue, because ultimately she never got to keep the man. Ultimately, she had to figure out how to live life on her own. Ultimately, whatever she was sticking in there waiting for never materialized. What ultimately materialized was a woman who was destroyed. When you look at Wendy Williams in this documentary, you do not see a woman who is really heading for any real repair. I'm sorry to say that. I don't want to be negative about it, but this is not the picture of someone who looks like they are going to be repaired. This is someone who looks like they were irreparably harmed by the circumstances that they allowed themselves to stay in. We can blame him all we want, but at the end of the day, she chose him and chose to stay with him. Okay, let me say that again. She chose him and chose to stay with him. And some of y'all are doing the same thing. Don't sit up here and judge this woman for her choice. Look at your own choices. Y'all who write here and tell me, I've been with the same man for 5 years, 40 years, 35 years, 17 years. He treated me like this. Eventually I'm going to leave. When? After your self-esteem is destroyed? When? After the stress that you've endured on your body has now created heart disease within you? Or for that matter, the stress you've now tried to self-medicate with God knows what? When are you going to leave? Why are you letting your pain destroy you? Leave. I always say this, that there are two types of pain. There's the passive pain of sitting in a negative situation while you passively allow that pain to keep on hitting you and keep on destroying you. And then there's the productive pain of choosing to leave. Productive pain is the pain that you feel when you packing yourself up to leave. Productive pain is the pain that you choose to feel because you choose productive pain of restarting your life. Even if that means you got to leave everything and everyone behind. Even if that means you got to leave that big 4 or 5 bedroom house to go live in a 1-bedroom apartment with your kids. Productive pain is the kind of pain that turns to power because it allows you to transform your life. Some situations are so bad that you can't get out of it without some pain. It is going to be painful. But while you sitting up here choosing to passively deal with pain, what you're doing is destroying yourself. And you know what else I thought about? I thought about her son, little Kevin. Now, he's not a little boy. He's a grown man. But I think about him. What does it mean? Because he said he hasn't talked to his mother. He said at the time of the documentary, he hadn't talked to his mother in, I think he said 8 months. Thank you for my stars. Marvelous Malanga. Okay, hadn't talked to his mother in 8 months. It would appear to me that her addiction had become so elevated and so escalated that for a lot of people, just like her, for a lot of people, they disconnect from their loved ones. This is a woman who raised him. This is the woman who it appears was the closest woman to him, and vice versa. And now, because of the pain that she allowed herself to endure within this relationship, it has destroyed her to the point where she can't even have a functional relationship with her own son. Think about that when you choose to stay in a harmful, unhealthy relationship with some man. What about your kids? Your kids are forever. You sitting up there destroying yourself to the point where you may not even be able to have a healthy, functional relationship with your doggone kids. Not just because you say, well, MJ, everybody ain't going to end up like Wendy Williams. Well, maybe not, but think about this. What harm and what danger is happening to your kids as they continue to be exposed to the poor choices that you're making? As you're staying with that man or that woman, for that matter, who's treating you harmful, what are they also doing to those kids? Oftentimes, the people who treat people really bad, the abusers of the world, are not compartmentalizing their behavior. What they're doing is they are projecting that behavior towards you and towards whoever's close to them. And more than likely, the kids are just as close to that person as you are, because that's their father, that's their mother, that's their whoever. You are not preserving them. You are not protecting them. What you're doing is you're staying in an environment that will ultimately be harmful to them as well. And then 10 years later, 5 years later, 30 years later, when they're resenting you at the same level that they resented that husband or that wife that you stayed with, you would have earned it and deserved it, because you had the power to leave an environment that was destroying them as well. You had the power to step into a situation where you could have protected them, but you chose to stay there selfishly just so you could avoid the pain of leaving. It is selfish to continue to expose your children to pain just because you don't want to leave that man, just because you don't want to leave that lifestyle. I'm not talking about Wendy no more, baby. I'm talking about y'all, because I don't know Wendy from a can of paint, and I don't know Kevin from a can of paint, but what I do know is that story had me thinking about so many choices, poor choices I see so many of you all make. Thank you so much, Tanya Borello, for sharing this video. And as I mentioned, if you ain't got my book, Get Out of Your Own Way, A Guide to Letting Go of the Steps That's Holding You Back, it's linked this directly above or below this video, or link this on my Instagram page. It's a bestseller because it's changing lives, okay? Let me continue with this, all right? I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? If you are a parent, Take this seriously. That person who's destroying you is also destroying your kids. Even if they're not directly projecting their abuse and their negativity towards the kids, them watching you be torn down is destroying them. Can you imagine the relationship issues that her son will have or is already having behind being exposed to that type of relationship for all these years? Can you imagine the horrible attachment issues that he could develop or has already developed through watching his mother endure that? Can you imagine even what it may be like him to manage his own behavior and his own emotions and his own temper after watching his father allegedly do the type of things that people have talked about? She was not protecting him no more than she was protecting herself. And what I'm here to tell you is that when I watched that documentary, like I said, I never want to see anybody in the worst days of their life. That's just not me. But one of the things that I do know is that if it's going to be put out there, at the very least we can do is pull a lesson from it. And the lesson to me is a very clear lesson. Leave before it's too late. Leave before it destroys you. And by it, it's that person, whoever it may be. Leave before it destroys your children. Leave before it grinds you down to the ground, to the place where you can't rebuild yourself. You believe that somehow or another you can rebuild yourself. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to rebuild myself and it's all over. No, baby. Sometimes you can be so destroyed and so damaged by the choices that you choose to stay within that you can never recover from it. And I'm here to tell you right now, your opportunity to leave is right now. Are you going to take it or not? That's the question. Watch the documentary, honey, and then let me know what you think about it, all right? But for Miss Wendy Williams, I pray that this next life that you go into is better than the life that you came out of. Because frankly, based on the choices that she had to make, based on choices that she chose to make within her own life, I don't really know that she's going to be able to come back from this one. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm just saying what some of us are already thinking. Pray for her, y'all. I think that's the only thing that can help her.